tea or coffee
with hot pepper soup.
Of course.
Okay. Let's go straight to the conversation. There's been talks around the Commissioner for Lands and Chieftaincy Affairs, if I'm not wrong.
Lands and Water
Resources. Forgive me there. The conversation has been brewing for quite some time, and I need you to tell me what you know about it. Is around this 2023 governorship, and you know that a lot of them were in Lagos to inaugurate the MPM in Lagos, and there he's been trying to clear the air as to why he denied nursing any gubernatorial ambition at the Lagos retreat of the MPM in Lagos. I'm talking about Pst Umo Eno. What do you know about the story? Let's clear the air on what's speculation and what's fact.
I think I read the report from a reputable media house, the Vanguard newspaper, this time around, and the report was to the effect that during the retreat of the state ESCO in Lagos, that His Excellency the Governor asked his cabinet members who are interested in any elective position in the forthcoming 2023 polls to indicate by a lift of hand. And the report went further to mention that Mr. Kanokon lift up his hands, Mr. Ete lift up his hand for House of Reps for Ibno, for a Federal constituency. Kanokon lifted up his hand, showing interest that he wants to contest for the governorship of the state. And Mr. Ifemi Yangayen also lifted up his hands that he wants to contest for the Senate of Eke Senatorial District. And then that Pst Umo Eno, Commissioner for Lands and Water Resources, did not lift up his hands, and that the Commissioner for Agric, Gloria Edet, also did not lift up her hands for her ambition for the Federal constituency. Now this report became so more dirty. If you look at the report, it went further to quote Pst Umo Eno to have gotten an interview to the paper, and when you read the report like that, you see quotation. It simply means that the person was quoting verbatim what the interviewee was actually saying. That Umo Eno went further to say that why he did not lift up his hands at that retreat was because he had a foreknowledge of what was going to happen. That the governor's brother, told him not to lift up his hands. That's one. That that those that will lift up their hand, that will be like a trap in summary. That those that will lift up their hands will eventually be asked to resign from the state ESCO, and that he has been adopted by the governor for the governorship election, and that is why members of the NPN, he went further to mention the names of Prince Akpabio, the names of Prince Enobonwa, the names of Barrister Emmanuel Enoide, who are the prime movers of the NPN, who always go about with him. Now that this is a sign that the governor has adopted him, and that is why these people are always going about with him, even in his private consultations for his ambition. And then he went further to also allege that this week there will be ESCO meeting in the state, that the governor will ask those who have lifted up their hands in the Lagos retreat to resign. This report also went further to say that the chief of staff to the governor, that is Mr. Ifemi Yangayen, that he has fallen out of the governor's favor by virtue of the fact that he is supporting Senator Basi Albert Akpan, and that is why he's not given, the governor doesn't give him much attention again. So this report was like trying to knock heads together. You could see, first of all, he brought the governor's brother into the picture. Second, he brought the Ifemi Yangayen. He brought in Mr. Kanokon, he brought in Ete and others, knocking heads together. And when I read the report myself, as a journalist, first of all, I was like, this is going to heat up the polity. I was scared. Where the report did not have a byline, they didn't carry a name of the reporter. But I was like,
perhaps that's for security.
No. Even at that, if you're interviewing Franklin the Song, I should be quoted that Franklin the Song is the one. Okay, you are the one interviewing me. Your name should be there,
of course. So on a program with the anchor. If as a journalist, when I interview someone and I'm quoting you verbatim, my name should be on the report. That
I interviewed you.
The story should
After all,
be sent to you.
After all, I have the recording audio that I can produce anywhere when called upon. So I shouldn't be scared to put my name on the byline. Now, why do I say this? I say this because I'm a journalist. I know the ethics and the ethos of journalism. You don't interview someone and then you don't put your name as the interviewer on the as a byline.
It's speculative.
That's for me. When I saw the report, I was scared that first, the politics of the state will be heated up. Second, people will have bad blood and you will create animosity in the state. But within 2-3 hours yesterday, after the report came out, I saw a rejoinder from Mr. Umo Eno that he did not grant any interview to the Vanguard newspaper report. That the report credited to him was fallacy, false, and should be disregarded. And then he went further to clarify the air that such thing never happened. I became relaxed. Then shortly again, I saw another rejoinder from the Commissioner for Information, Community Niemebong, now from the State ESCO, because this report was alleged to have, this report alleged to have come out from the ESCO retreat. So the ESCO now, through Community Niemebong, now came up with a rejoinder that that what transpired at the ESCO was more of a discourse where persons who are intellectuals were asked to present papers, like a training session where the ESCO members interacted, and then they were asked to present memos on their various ministries and how they have performed. That it has no linkage to politics and 2023 elections in the state. This further doused the tension. Now, having said this, for whatever intention and purpose of those who must have put this up, I think it is condemnable. At this early stage, you want to begin to heat up the polity. I don't want us to return back, take back the state to 2009. If you were running Akwa Ibom, you would have seen that this is the way we trekked until we fell into a very bubble trap that almost consumed the state in 2011 campaigns and politics, where the entire state was agog in violence, in pre and post election violence. So I am advising politicians not to heat up the polity for the interest of the state and for the interest of its people. The state is not going to be consumed by politicking. We should go about our politicking in a peaceful manner. Sell your agenda, sell your dreams, what you want to do for the state. For me, it's about 4 years. If we like you as voters, we hire you. We employ you to serve us.
Applicant.
That's all. Yes.
You're an applicant.
Applicant before the voters.
Applicant.
Go about selling your agenda. Don't heat up the politics. Don't go about castigating or running down the government or running down individual or your brother. Because after election, the state will still exist.
Of course.
Those who died in 2011 have lost their lives, but they left behind those whom they were catering for. Those who died in 2015 elections have died. They left behind their loved ones. Those who died in 2019 have died. So we need to play politics with decorum, with decency, and with all amount of sincerity of purpose, so that we don't end up creating a lifetime animosity amongst ourselves as a people. That's my advice to all those who are clamoring for political offices in the forthcoming polls. We should not allow our selfish interests, allow our personal interests to push us into the point where we now begin to incite violence and use media, to castigate and run down the state institution as well as persons that that are also contesting with us. That is what I have come to advise, that we should not. This report should be the last kind of blackmail, if you call it blackmail, because I know the government have asked that Vanguard should retract it or they should make public the audio of that interview between Pst Umo Eno and the Vanguard reporter.
But let me ask you, Twikong, with this kind of thing happening, do you see a lawsuit in this regard? Because there might be some kind of reputational damage here.
Well, as a journalist, I am not an advocate of litigation because you expect more of this. The more you sue, the more of this report, the more of this kind of report coming up. So as a journalist and as one who defend the right of human rights activists and the rest, I wouldn't advise the government to take up a lawsuit against Vanguard newspaper. Why do I say this? You'll be distracted. That is why when I read the report, when I read the rejoinder from Pst Umo Eno, I did not see we are going to sue you if you don't retract. I read the one of the government, through community, I did not see or we will take you to court. I think those who are guiding these two rejoinders, we are very, very careful, knowing the import and the implication of going to court at this stage. Let me give you a typical example.
Okay.
In 2011, a similar report came out in the Tell newspaper where the then governor was masked with clothing that looked like he was a cultist. His face was put on it and he was masked, and they carried the machete on the front page of Tell magazine in this state. Although some persons who were interested parties went to court to sue, asking for damage and all those stuff. But the truth is that for me, going to court, if you sue any media house today, you will be decided because the media is like a cult where you will have sympathy. Media, the journalists all over will be attracted to sympathize with their colleague and with their sister media house. And then when you open to this other medium, you will see a negative report, and then the state will be given a black hat. And then when you know it, NUJ will be dragged into it. So I'm happy that the rejoinders did not put threats of going to court, and then I don't even advise neither Umo Eno nor the government to drag the Vanguard newspaper to court in this particular institution. Just let it go. As far as the report has been debunked and clarified that such thing never happened and existed.
Okay, so let's just hope it stays that way, and as you've rightly also said, it should be retracted. We do hope that there's a retraction to that one, and we do not have the Vanguard coming up again. We just hope it's not going to spiral into some kind of drama, because I have also witnessed something like this in Lagos. A similar thing happened, and the same process, and the newspaper went ahead to issue its own part of what happened, and before you know it, the same process we're talking about, bring the audio, bring proof. And then trust politicians now. When there's something to hide, there was out of camera settlement. That was how the issue.
That is how
out of camera settlement.
That is how to resolve the issue. You see, I have traversed this road several times. There was a time I reported a story. I carried a story about a particular ministry in this state, and that was about 2007 or thereabout. And the ministry came up to challenge the authenticity of my report. In fact, the military did a press conference on my head, calling that I should produce evidence. And I laughed. And I did a report that was carried on the Monday edition of the paper, and then on Wednesday the military came out and debunked it and demanding for proof. On Friday I came up with a proof. With a minute of the meeting where that particular incident took place, and then each person that said anything, what you said was reported, was quoted verbatim. That quelled the crisis. I have done several of such. The truth is that if the Vanguard don't have their facts, if this report was just a farce, just made to cause to hit up the polity, I think there is no need to have brought it up in the first instance.
Let's see how that pans out. Of course, we'll be following, and we'll keep you updated.
Of course,
as events unfold.
I just think it's over. Think it's over. I feel so, because for me, whether the Vanguard newspaper will retract it or not, the government has issued a rejoinder. The Pst Umo Eno has also issued a rejoinder. This has put paid to the rumor, and those who are aggrieved by the report, those who also feel tensed by this report, would have been assuaged by this rejoinder.
So we should
move on.
Before we go to the next agenda, is anything wrong? Because of course I know one thing is standard practice, right? Before election, the incumbent will ask those who are members of his cabinet who have intention to resign. I mean, we've seen several states do that. Bayelsa State has done that. Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi did that recently, and he told members of his cabinet who have intention to resign.
Yes.
It's statutory, that's what they do. But is there anything wrong if the governor wants to know, and so that you resign and then allow people who want to work, because you'll be distracted? Is there anything wrong with it?
Nothing is wrong. In fact, that is the
normal thing to do.
That is the normal thing to do. Now, but the question is, was it what happened? Was it what the Vanguard reported? Is it actually what happened at the retreat? If that is not what happened, then why reported it? That's the question that I'm asking Vanguard newspaper. If that is what happened, by today you would have seen the government would have come up with a press statement to say, of course, so presidents have shown interest to contest election. They have resigned. It has happened in this state before. Where somebody who was the top ranking in government showed about 3 of them showed interest to contest, and then the then governor probably said they should resign, and then they left and focus on their campaign because as they are wholly sworn in their offices as well as campaigning, whatever they say is attributed to their office as commissioners,
exactly,
or as whatever offices that they are occupying. So nothing is wrong in anybody asked to resign.
Exactly.
And nothing is wrong in anybody vying for any office. Standard practice. There is no how you can combine these two together. So but why don't we wait until that time comes when the government will say those who have interest to contest for any position show by standing, and then when that is done, he now said, okay, you people have all resigned. That should have been the thing. But let's not speculate. Let's not try to put words in the mouth of the governor or in the mouth of the ESCO. That is where I think, if that's not what happened in the Lagos retreat, that the Vanguard should have reported it.
Okay.